everybody, Stella Chung here, and this is the Weekly Fix, the show where we round up all the gaming and entertainment headlines you may have missed this week. Sony is reportedly losing PlayStation Plus subscribers left and right, plus Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2's physical edition is basically an empty box. In the entertainment world, Henry Cavill has been replaced for Season 4 of the Witcher series, and we deep dive into the trailer for Netflix's Sonic Prime. Hope you're staying warm and cozy as we jump right into it. Sony recently revamped their PlayStation Plus subscription service, offering 3 different tiers at 3 different price points. Unfortunately, the reception hasn't exactly been a warm one, as Sony hasn't really marketed the changes very well, and gamers struggle to understand what benefits they get by paying extra for the highest tiers. Via Sony's latest financial report, PlayStation Plus's subscriber count actually fell from the end of June to the end of September. Approximately 2 million gamers decided not to re-up their subscription to PS Plus. However, Sony did highlight this interesting bit. The ratio of gamers subscribed to PS Plus is higher on the PS5 than it is for the PS4. This could mean the PS5 adoption rates are increasing, as also evidenced by increasingly strong hardware sales. Sony also announced that they were able to produce around 6.5 million PS5 consoles in the same June to September period, and they've sold around 25 million PS5s to date. Sony didn't speculate as to what caused their subscription drop, but it could be due to ongoing global economic woes as inflation rates hit record highs all over and everyone basically tightening their belts. Maybe gamers are content to spend their money on a new console and one-time purchases like single-player games, rather than a continued monthly expense like a gaming subscription service. What do you think? Have you upgraded your PS Plus subscription recently? Or maybe you dropped it altogether? Let us know in the comments. Sony isn't the only one losing things right now, as Microsoft has revealed they took a pretty significant hit on every Series X and S console they sell. Via CNBC and Eurogamer, Xbox head Phil Spencer admitted the company takes a $100 to $200 loss on each current-gen console they sell. With the Xbox Series X selling at $499 and the Series S at $299, that's about a third that Microsoft loses on each sale. Yikes. Spencer explained that it isn't the consoles that make Xbox profitable, it's add-ons like headset and controllers. Xbox also has their wildly popular Xbox Live and Game Pass subscription services, which provide online play and hundreds of games to play. Unlike recent PS Plus sub numbers, Game Pass subscriber counts have only been growing in recent months. If you've been eyeing an Xbox console recently, you might want to go ahead and hit purchase sooner rather than later. Spencer spoke with the Wall Street Journal recently and revealed console prices could be going up after this holiday season.
Once upon a time, buying a physical copy of a game meant that you could pop it into your device of choice and just start playing it, and with the rise of day one patches, that has become less and less true. And in the case of this year's Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, if you buy the physical version, you're basically buying an empty box. Okay, so technically there is a disc in there and it's not blank, but it only has 72 megabytes of data on it. Upon loading it up, you're going to be prompted to download a massive day one update that is over 100 gigabytes, so it feels a little weird to call it an update when it's the whole friggin' game. The file size of recent Call of Duty games has been a bone of contention among players, not just for being a strain on internet bandwidth, but also for hogging hard drive space. PS5 players are feeling this disproportionately since the revolutionary lightning-fast hard drive of Sony's next-gen console is also a paltry 825 gigs, and really only 667 gigs because of system files. Once Modern Warfare 2 and its various patches and texture packs are fully installed on a PS5, it takes up over 150 gigs of space. Now keep in mind, that isn't even the full package. The Battle Royale mode Warzone 2.0 doesn't drop until November 16th, and it's safe to assume that there will be an update or two to go along with it. Obviously, having to download stuff is kind of a necessary evil for gaming in 2022, but Activision shipping out millions of plastic cases with effectively blank discs inside seems a little bit wasteful. Okay, so sure, a physical box is easier to sell in stores, and it's more fun to gift wrap and unwrap for the holidays, and of course, punching in a bunch of letters and numbers to redeem a code might be more work than a lot of people want, and popping a disc into a slot is a good solution for that, and obviously there is that select group of players who are already sounding off in the comments about how they like to have physical boxes displayed on their shelves, but this is kind of dumb. I mean, it's a waste of a Blu-ray even. 72 megs, you could fit that shit on a CDR, or a zip disk even. If you know what a zip disk is, go do some stretches because you are old enough to have back pain. Speaking of bodily harm, you're going to be dishing out plenty of that in the upcoming action horror game The Callisto Protocol, unless of course you live in Japan, where it's been cancelled for its gruesome violence. Posted on the official social media channels, a statement from Striking Distance Studio reads, quote, "We have decided to discontinue the Japanese version of the Callisto Protocol. We've determined that the game cannot pass the SARO rating in its current state, and that changing the content will not provide the experience that players expect. We would appreciate your understanding in Japan." They've obviously refunded pre-orders they got over there, but it's still a bummer. SARO is basically the Japanese equivalent of America's ESRB or Europe's PEGI, and in order to get a Japanese release, tons of Western games have to adhere to its standards regarding violence and nudity. Japanese analyst Dr. Serkan Toto was able to offer some insight on Twitter, noting that Japanese versions of GTA 5, Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher, The Last of Us, and even Uncharted had to cut content to appease the ratings board. Even games developed in Japan, like Resident Evil, get a less gory release on their home turf, and often two versions of a game are released, a heavily censored version and a gory version that gets SARO's Z rating, meaning that it can only be sold to people over the age of 18, and those versions are still censored compared to their Western counterparts. Other games might get a pass by simply toning down the blood and guts, but as a spiritual successor to Dead Space, the Callisto Protocol once again uses dismemberment as one of its core mechanics, so trying to hack off that key part of the gameplay might have just gruesomely murdered the whole experience as a whole. Anyway, the Callisto Protocol comes out everywhere but Japan on December 2nd, just in time for the holidays.
A crossplay between different platforms is a wonderful idea in theory, but it doesn't always offer the best multiplayer experience. So you think it'd be optional, right? Yeah, well, in the case of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, that's not the case for a lot of players. Now on PC, there's currently no way of disabling the function at all, so PC players are stuck slumming it with console kiddies. Now on Xbox, the only way to disable crossplay is from within Xbox settings, which disables it across all games entirely. But over on PS4 and PS5, players can toggle the feature off no problem. Now this isn't an entirely new issue for Call of Duty. Now in Warzone, Xbox has a disable crossplay option in the settings, but it gets turned back on as soon as players queue up for a game. So it's more of the illusion of choice and not a very good one at that. Currently, there's no word from Activision Blizzard on if there are plans to change any of this in future updates. Now, Sony has a history of being opposed to crossplay, previously blocking it from massive games like Rocket League and Minecraft. And considering Call of Duty is now owned by Xbox, it'll be interesting to see how this situation changes. What's your take on crossplay? Does it bring the gaming community closer together, or does it mean that you're more likely to get headshot by some dude with a mouse and keyboard? Sound off down below and let's discuss. Speaking of future updates, Warner Bros. Montreal has reassured players that Gotham Knights will be getting some updates very soon to address its various technical issues. Now, PC players got a patch earlier this week that included general bug fixes and a known issue of the game crashing during the Harley Quinn hospital fight. Now, WB Montreal is looking into compatibility issues with NVIDIA Ansel. Console players can expect a patch by the end of the week, which should include much needed fixes, so hopefully that'll drop any minute now. Now, the team assures players that they're aware there are performance issues on PC and console, and they're working on a patch that'll address them, specifically citing frame rate stability on consoles. Now, Gotham Knights' frame rate on consoles has been a bit of a sore subject, and a lot of players were disappointed to hear prior to launch that it'd be locked at 30 frames per second. While it's possible a performance mode could get patched down the road, you probably shouldn't hold your breath.
We've known about the PlayStation VR 2 for quite some time now, and until this morning, two burning questions had remained unanswered. When does it arrive, and how much will it cost? Well, now we know. It's out February 22nd of next year with a suggested retail price of $550 US. PlayStation also revealed what's included in the box: the PSVR 2 headset, a pair of Sense controllers, stereo headphones, and all the necessary cables. Now, there's bound to be some sticker shock considering the PSVR 2 is more expensive than a PS5, or the same price in parts of the world affected by Sony's recent price hike. But on the bright side, at least it includes all the necessary components. The original PSVR launched at $400, which was more than a PS4 at the time, but the PS Move controllers and PlayStation Camera were sold separately, which were necessary to take full advantage of the headset. There will also be a PSVR 2 bundle that includes everything in the Standard Edition, plus a download code for Horizon Call of the Mountain, which will run you $600. Both versions will be available on February 22nd, and pre-orders will go up on November 15th. How are we feeling about PSVR 2 now that we have a price? Day one purchase, wait for a price drop, or hard pass? Let us know in the comments. The other big question a lot of people have about PSVR 2 is an obvious one: what games are coming? Well, good news, Sony also announced 11 new games being released alongside the new headset, but none of them are Half-Life Alyx. Here are a few highlights. The Dark Pictures anthology Switchback VR is an all-new action horror shooter from Supermassive Games, which looks to be a spiritual successor to the PSVR 1 game Until Dawn: Rush of Blood. Tentacular is a colorful game about a good-natured giant squid. And if you'd like large beasts that are less friendly in your face, the Jurassic World Aftermath collection will feature plenty of murderous, genetically engineered dinosaurs optimized for PS5. The city builder simulation Cities VR, which is already on MetaQuest, is also getting an enhanced edition for PS5. Popular home invasion game Hello Neighbor is getting VRified with Search and Rescue and will be on PSVR 2, as well as the original PSVR on PS4. There's also Crossfire Sierra Squad, a military FPS from Smilegate, the Korean studio behind the long-running Crossfire series, and After the Fall, a co-op shooter set in post-apocalyptic Los Angeles. These are only a few of the games that are launching alongside PSVR 2, and Sony is promising more than 20 will be available day one. We'll keep you posted as we find out more. Speaking of video games where you shoot stuff, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was released last week, and its opening weekend sales already smashed the records of every other game in the series. The previous record holder was 2011's Modern Warfare 3, which had 400 million in sales on day one and 775 million in 5 days. This year's installment hit 800 million in just 3 days. The only game to sell faster is Grand Theft Auto 5, which hit $1 billion in just 3 days. So, for anyone worried that the beloved FPS was declining in popularity after last year's Vanguard failed to meet Activision Blizzard's expectations, even though it was the best-selling game of the year, I think Call of Duty is going to be just fine. It also gives Modern Warfare 2 a fighting chance of beating this year's current bestseller, Elden Ring.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 just hit consoles and PC last week, and not so surprisingly, it's selling really well on PlayStation. Sony tweeted a congratulations to developer Infinity Ward and publisher Activision, saying this new version of Modern Warfare 2 was, quote, the biggest PlayStation Store launch for a Call of Duty game, including pre-orders and day one sales. This is also great news for Microsoft as it looks to complete its acquisition of Call of Duty publisher Activision Blizzard. On the YouTube channel Same Brain with Justine and Jenna Ezerick, Xbox head Phil Spencer addressed concerns about Microsoft owning one of the biggest publishers in the industry, and what that means for Call of Duty. Spencer said, quote,
"Yeah, we're not taking Call of Duty from PlayStation. That's not our intent. Our intent is not to do that, and as long as there's a PlayStation out there to ship to, our intent is that we continue to ship Call of Duty on PlayStation, similar to what we've done with Minecraft since we've owned that."
If you didn't know, Minecraft's been owned by Microsoft for years, and they've only expanded access to the game, releasing it on practically every platform available, including Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Fire OS, Raspberry Pi, Apple TV, your 35-year-old Casio calculator watch you probably found in a junk drawer somewhere. You get the idea. Microsoft hasn't walled off Minecraft behind Xbox, and Call of Duty makes too much money to keep that exclusive either. The only advantage Xbox gamers will likely have is future Call of Duty games will probably be included in Game Pass, and maybe get exclusive DLC, whereas PS5 owners will have to fork over $70. So relax. For now, PlayStation fans, you'll be able to play Call of Duty on your favorite platform for the foreseeable future. And staying with Microsoft for a second story, Phil Spencer did admit there's been a bit of a drought for exclusive first-party games for Xbox Series X and S. On the same episode of Same Brain, Spencer was asked what he's most looking forward to regarding the future of Xbox. He replied it was all the great things their first-party studios are working on, but some feedback he got was, quote,
"One thing we've definitely heard loud and clear is it's been too long since we've shipped kind of what people would say is a big first-party game. We can have our excuses on COVID and other things, but in the end, I know people invest in our platform and they want to have great games."
Microsoft's purchase of Bethesda may be bearing fruit soon, as the publisher will be launching the first-person vampire shooter Redfall and the highly anticipated Skyrim and space RPG Starfield next year. Both of those will be console exclusive to the Xbox Series X and S. Speaking of mega publishers, Electronic Arts just inked a 3-game deal with Marvel. Via Bloomberg, the deal will begin with the previously announced Iron Man game from EA Motive. The other 2 games will feature their own original stories, but other details are thin, like what characters will be featured or if there's any connection to the Iron Man game. We'll have more on those games as news breaks, so stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed my Halloween costume, but it's time to take a quick break. When we come back, The Last of Us series has announced its release date, and we discuss who has replaced Henry Cavill for Season 4 of The Witcher. See you in a bit. Welcome back. Henry Cavill has stated that he's excited to begin working with the newly appointed co-CEO of DC Studios, James Gunn, as he dons the supersuit once again. But speaking of Henry Cavill, he has been fully replaced as Geralt by actor Liam Hemsworth for the Witcher series. Let's find out some more from our correspondent, Spider Gwella Chung. The third season of Netflix's hit original series The Witcher doesn't premiere until next summer, but we got word this weekend that a fourth season is already in the works. But Liam Hemsworth will be replacing Henry Cavill as the titular monster hunter Geralt. This news came by way of an official announcement from Netflix, along with statements from both actors. Cavill's love of the original Witcher books and games showed in his impassioned performance, and he clearly didn't take this decision lightly. He stated, "I pass the torch with reverence for the time spent embodying Geralt and the enthusiasm to see Liam's take on this most fascinating and nuanced of men." Hemsworth sounded equal parts humbled by and enthusiastic for the opportunity, explaining that he was a fan of both The Witcher and Cavill as an actor. Adding, "I may have some big boots to fill, but I'm truly excited to be stepping into the Witcher world." If you're not keeping track, Liam Hemsworth is the one from The Hunger Games, and he's the younger brother of Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, and Luke Hemsworth, who was on Westworld. The reason for Cavill's departure is unclear, though it might have something to do with last week's news that he would be trading his sword and medallion for a red cape and a spit curl to reprise the role of Superman in a future DC movie. Speaking of which, Black Adam was once again the #1 movie in theaters this week, and its box office gross has officially passed $111 million domestically and $250 million globally. Variety reports this was a 59% decline in ticket sales, but par for the course with superhero movies. It didn't hurt that Black Adam didn't have much in the way of competition, and the only one movie that premiered this weekend broke into the top 5. The horror film Prey for the Devil, which took 3rd place after the Clooney-Roberts rom-com Ticket to Paradise. In any case, I don't think anyone was worried about Dwayne Johnson's career, but it seems very likely we'll see more of him as Black Adam. Possibly the most impressive performance of a DC villain this weekend was by none other than Diddy, who put together an excellent Halloween costume of the Dark Knight's Joker and clearly spent some time rehearsing the laugh. The multi-hyphenate entertainer and businessman posted photos and videos on Instagram of himself basically unrecognizable, cackling maniacally, leaning out of the back of a cop car, playing with a real flamethrower, and terrorizing fellow rapper Tyler, the Creator.
Tyler, you are my favorite rapper in the world. He looks beautiful. Beautiful.
We got the second trailer for the upcoming Netflix original animated series Sonic Prime, which premieres December 15th, and it appears to be pretty similar to Sonic Frontiers, the Blue Hedgehog's next video game. Now, the trailer reveals Eggman shattering something referred to as the Prime Crystal, which sends Sonic and friends to various different places within the Sonic multiverse, where Sonic encounters different versions of his furry friends. Now, Eggman does a very similar thing in Sonic Frontiers, only this time he uploads a program into an artifact which sucks him into a place known as cyberspace, and sends Sonic and friends into a wormhole where they're also separated and find themselves in the futuristic world of cyberspace. Now, needless to say, that's no good for anyone, but it still needs to be said.
That's no good.
Now, Sonic's problems in both instances stem from Eggman, as is tradition with most Sonic outings, and it's rather interesting to see the parallels between both the upcoming game and Netflix series. Now, the Sonic Prime trailers have revealed a few classic Sonic characters will be showing up, like Knuckles, Amy, and Tails, as well as Sonic Adventure favorites like Shadow, Big the Cat, and Rouge the Bat. Now, we'll also see some classic Sonic 1 and 2 Badnik robots pop up throughout the series. Now, as for whether or not we'll see Sonic variants is yet to be seen. Haha, we haven't seen it yet. Now, I'm kind of hoping we see some classic and iconic Sonic designs show up, similar to Sonic Generations, where 2 generations of Sonics teamed up to take the fight to the baddies in the video game. Here's hoping for them to really go full force and sprinkle in some Sonic forces with a speed dash of Sonic Unleashed. Heck, throw in the movie versions as well. Yes, I'm talking about the good one and the one with the weird teeth.
Meow?
Now, I'm really hyped for this upcoming series on Netflix and the video game. Let's talk about it in the comment section down below if you're a Sonic fan. And remember, kids,
Never do anything you don't think is right, even if other guys say it's cool. That's called peer pressure.
thanks, Sonic. You're way past cool, my blue-quilled friend. Now, in other news, Venom 3 finds a director in Kelly Marcel, with Tom Hardy set to reprise the role of the reluctant anti-hero Eddie Brock. Now, Marcel wrote the screenplay for the 2 previous films, with her set to join Tom Hardy in the producer's seat. Now, plot details are scarce as of right now, but both Hardy and Marcel are currently working on the story for the next Venom film. Now, can't we just, start calling Kelly Marcel's Venom movies, the Marcel Venomatic universe? Anyone know? Okay, well, let's just move on. And finally, Chainsaw Man is really working its way into the cultural zeitgeist when you have KFC making tweets like this, featuring a fried chicken in the form of Pochta. Now, Pochta is the chainsaw devil that merges with Denji, transforming him into the main character, Chainsaw Man. Rev it up. Now, I wonder if there's some manga readers over there on KFC's social team. If so, they'll get a kick out of Bucky the Chicken Devil. That'll be a trip when it shows up in the anime. Now, usually Arby's is the fast food chain that posts anime stuff, but hey, you know what? The more the merrier.
Promoting this week's release of Enola Holmes 2 on Netflix, Henry Cavill spoke to us here at IGN and admitted to not having met James Gunn just yet. But he's excited to collaborate with the Suicide Squad Titan on future projects. Here's what he had to say about Gunn.
I'm looking very forward to meeting him, and he's clearly a very, very talented man, and I cannot wait to sit down and have long conversations with him. I'm very excited about him being there, and very excited about any future opportunities we can work together.
Speaking to us further on his role as Superman in the DCEU, Cavill remarks on how much joy it brings him. But not just to him, to the countless fans of the character, and he knows it's not just due to the strength of his character, but also his heart.
It is a gift. To be giving is a gift because it makes people feel a certain way, and it also makes them want to be giving in return to other people. And it's that there's just something so magnificent about that. And of course, then that's a very broad stroke piece. But once you get into the nitty-gritty details of that, and once you start applying that to storytelling and to all the wonderful, exciting villains that he may come across, then you have a world of adventure and a world where an audience leaves the cinema feeling fantastic.
As for when we'll see Cavill on the big screen in another Man of Steel-led movie is yet to be seen, but maybe some good news will come out of his meeting with James Gunn. As of right now, nothing but rumors have been circulating the internet, with reports on Warner Brothers Discovery possibly cooking up a Man of Steel 2 film. With Cavill stepping down as Geralt of Rivia in Netflix's Witcher series, his schedule seems to be open at the moment. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer launched October 28th, and it's had a mixed bag of reactions from the community. While I enjoyed my first few hours in the game, I did experience some bugs on PC like random white screen flickering throughout some matches, crashes, and server problems. But I also noticed some missing content from the base game. While there will be some feature updates to come with each new season launch, a lot of Call of Duty players voice their frustrations and disappointments. While there will be some feature updates to come with each new season launch, a lot of Call of Duty players voice their frustrations and disappointments with the lack of ranked play, hardcore playlists, custom reticles and blueprints, and combat record stats. Most players, though, were upset about the lack of hardcore. The good news is that the hardcore playlist will arrive November 16th with Season 1, but the playlist is now called Tier 1. Operators will have less health in that mode, limited HUD elements, and friendly fire will be on. So it's the same thing, just a different name. But November isn't too far off, and you can accidentally shoot your friends in Tier 1 mode soon. With Worlds 2022 well underway, League of Legends fans this weekend called on Riot via social media to add a new Zeka award. The award suggestion is named after DRX's mid laner Zeka, who outperformed at the Grand Finals of Worlds and helped his team defeat Gen G. In that series, Zeka's score was 10-4-16, and his KDA at the main event was 6.0. At Esports Kobe on Twitter said, "We need a new award for breakout superstar on the international stage for Zeka. This man is a beast." The Zeka award would most likely be given to a player with no expectations of particularly outstanding performance, but coming out on top as the star player. Either way, it is a huge accomplishment for DRX and Zeka to move on to Worlds on November 5th and face off against Faker and T1. Good luck to both teams, and I can't wait to see them play live. Even with Riot being busy with Worlds, they haven't forgotten about Valorant players. There's a new competitive game mode that will be launching in an alpha testing period soon. This game mode encourages a higher goal above Radiant, which is the current highest rank in the game, to fuel more competitive players. Premier is meant to bridge the gap between competitive play and pro play, since the top teams in the seasons can qualify for a tournament to win the division championship. This mode will have teams of 5 and pre-arranged matches in seasons which are roughly a few weeks long. You can then build a team roster that'll be placed in a division to play in weekly matches and tournaments. Premier is only about 60% complete according to Riot, but is coming to alpha testing for Brazil. Hopefully the rest of the world gets to try it on alpha soon as well. Thanks, Spider-Gwella Chung. I'm Stella Chung, and that was your weekly fix. We'll be back here next Saturday with more of the biggest gaming and entertainment news of the week. See you then.